Well, the latest census in the U.S. shows there are 3 million more Americans living in poverty than previously announced. Based on a revised official count, the number of poor Americans in 2012 was 49.7 million, or 16% of the total population. The figure exceeds the record 46.5 million, or 15%, that was officially reported in September. Among U.S. states, California had the highest share of poor people, partly because of high housing costs and the large numbers of immigrants. The Washington Federal District, Nevada, and Florida come next. All this as last week, over 47 million lower-income Americans who receive government assistance saw their benefits go down. The U.S. Congress is even working on deeper cuts later this year. To discuss that further, we're now joined by Mr. Mark Mason, who is a cultural and political commentator who's joining us live now via Skype from San Francisco. Mr. Mason, thanks a lot for joining us. Now, this makes for quite shocking reading. 16% of the U.S. population, the superpower of the world's population, is poor.
And we have a disproportionate burden of poverty that rests upon the shoulders of non-whites. Blacks have a poverty rate of 28% in the United States. And it would be fair to say that really 1/2 of the adult population of the United States is either below the official federal poverty line or low income. And we're the richest nation on the planet. We're the richest nation that ever existed in the history of human civilization. We have 400 Americans. Their net worth is equivalent to the entire GDP of Russia. 400 people.
So where has the world's richest nation gone wrong then?
Oh, I would have to say that it's actually going right according to the plan. It's always been that way. We have a power system and we have an economic system. They work together, they mesh together. We've had an elite and we've had a power struggle for 200 years of the working class and the poor struggling to get a minimum wage that would be sufficient for a family to survive on. That struggle continues, though during the last 30 to 40 years, we've seen the collapse of unions and the collapse of organized labor. And I think that is the core issue at this point, where we do not have an organized working class to push back against the oligarchs that really own and control this country.
So are you in a sense saying that this is out of the control of these poor people and the rest of Americans? I mean, the United States does have a semblance of democracy, so certainly these politicians can be held accountable, can't they?
We do not have a democracy. It's hard to describe what it's like being here in the United States. You land off the plane or come on train or bus, whatever, from other countries, and you step inside the reality distortion zone. Washington is a fraud. The government is illegitimate, the power system is illegitimate, and they have no credibility. We do not have a democracy. It was never intended to be a democracy. Our Constitution was constructed with the specific goal of maintaining political and economic power in an elite. And so, I would disagree with those who say that Washington is in gridlock or there's some problem in Washington. What we have is an economic and political system that's functioning the way it was structured by James Madison and the framers of the Constitution for it to work.
Interesting, but okay, we'll leave it there for now. But of course, as always, we do sincerely appreciate your insight. That was Mr. Mark Mason speaking to us live from San Francisco.